I'm going to go back to the gallery view, and no, in fact, I'm going to share screen for Dave Hudgel. Dave, are you there? Turn your
Yes,
mic
I'm
on.
here.
Okay,
I'm here.
I'm going to share screen and show your slides if I can.
Well, greetings from Southwest Ontario, and I have to say initially that this club is amazing. To have a show and tell every week, the enthusiasm and the skills is just really impressive.
We have a lot of fun now. Can you see the slides there?
Yes, I can. Yes, the one on the upper left is an Eastern red cedar urn. It's a small urn that could handle a small child or a pet. It's not a it's just a sit-on top, which can be glued together once the ashes are in there. The one on the upper right is a cherry turn bowl with a kind of a stubby finial on it. The one on the lower left is a more rounded urn that'll hold about 150-pound person. It's usually roughly 1 pound of body weight ashes equals 1 cubic inch of volume within the urn.
Can you put ashes directly in a wooden urn, or do you have to put a metal liner in there?
Well, I don't think you need a metal liner. I would assume that a plastic, that the ashes would come in some sort of container that could be put in the urn, especially if it were something like a plastic bag or something. I don't have any kind of lining in these specifically. I would think if they're ashes, they're dry, and nothing's going to happen in relation to interacting with the wood. But I don't know. I'd like to hear what others, more expertise, knows about this.
This is Mike. Could I say something? I had some personal experience with a funeral home. If you take, before they distribute the ashes, if you'll take the urn to the funeral home, they will handle that for you. And they do put a plastic bag type of liner inside, and then they fill the ashes and seal that liner.
Thank you. That's good.
Anybody else with experience in this?
John, I do too. I work at a funeral home, and this is Mike Lebo. The ashes are very dry, and I know they do put them in plastic bags before they put them in any urn, whether it be metal, glass, or wood.
Oh. So you can just put the plastic bag in there, are you saying?
Yeah, they put a plastic bag in, and then they pour the ashes into the bag, put the top down in, and seal it.
So for a 200-pound dude, you needed 200 square inches. Is that right?
Cubic inches.
Cubic inches.
Yeah, cubic inches, not square inches.
And do you know
a bit
that
larger than three quarters of a gallon.
3 quarts?
Yeah,
that is a lot.
With our population becoming more obese, I'm doing one now that will probably hold almost a 400-pound person. I didn't do that on purpose. It just happened. I had a nice big piece of wood, and that's the way it ended up.
That's a couple's urn.
Yes,
yeah.
That's a possibility. I thought about that.
We've had some where we put both of them together and a dog.
Both of them together and a dog.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Dave, how many of these do you make? Is it like part of what you regularly do?
Oh no, it just happens to depends on the type of wood, the size of the wood that comes in, and these are all end grain turnings, and they will not deform because of end grain. And I use oftentimes a hollowing tool to get the center out, the inside turned. So that really works very well, I think.
Dave, this is Alan Miller. How many of your pieces are in actual use? And if not for Dave, I'm just wondering from others, is this something that people are starting to do more and more?
I don't know. One of my neighbors has one of these, anticipating a mother's death. So other than that, I don't have any personal experience with other people using them.
I know I had one I made for many years for my mother, and I finally buried her ashes along with my brothers about 10 years ago. So, but I made it out of wood and it had a plastic bag in it, and I was very happy to have it. It gave me comfort.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else who's been in the urn
I've
business?
got about 10 that have been used right now. And we normally just, put a plastic bag in and seal. And my mother-in-law, when we did hers, again, I just put a plastic bag in, and we took a magic marker, one of the small tip pens, and every member of the family signed their name on it. And then when we buried it, they had to move it. There was no big deal with it.
Do you then glue the lid in?
Yeah, I just put a little bit of epoxy on the lid.
So you don't think they need to be threaded necessarily?
I've done several with just a sewer plug fitting, and I make the lid and I glue it to it. And that gives me a nice thread that works all the time. Whereas I tried the chasing threads, and wood has a tendency to change its shape. And the day you want to use them, if it's a year or two later, depends on how they stored them in their home, you end up with a problem. Where with the plastic threads, that eliminates the threading problem.
And how about the diameter of the opening? Does that need to be fairly big so that the plastic bag will fit in easily, or does it make that much difference?
I've put them in a 2.5-inch diameter up to 4-inch diameter pipe thread fittings, and 3 to 4 inches is most comfortable to work with. 2.5 is just a little bit hard to squeeze the bag into it. You sort of have a dowel to get the bag to the bottom, and then you fill it with, and then try to seal the bag. It just makes it a little bit awkward.
Yeah, I don't want to poke grandma with a stick, even in the ashes form.
Every 3 to 4 inches then.
Hey, John,
Yeah,
Jack Gardner.
yeah.
The VA has these little compartments above ground that you put your container in. Does anybody know the sizes of those?
I have a commercial one that you receive the ashes with. Here, looking at it, it's about 5.5 inches in diameter and about 6.5 inches tall.
And what is that, Barry? A commercial canister?
My wife's father's ashes are in a like when you if you opt to not simply get the ashes, we opt for an urn from the a no frills urn from the crematorium. It comes in a metal canister, a decorated metal canister that is much bigger than a quart, but smaller than a gallon container. I would say, in looking at it, it's about 5.5 inches in diameter and about 7 inches tall.
Very interesting.
I'm going to put, this is Mike. I did a research just now, and I've got those dimensions. I'll put it in the chat for everybody from the VA website.
Years ago, I made this for my wife's ashes. It's my pre-turning days. It's a kind of an Egyptian-inspired cherry and maple box. That center lid lifts out, and the ashes themselves weigh probably 4 pounds.
Okay.
We've got a couple of urns here that have threaded inserts in them, and the threaded inserts are made out of wood, and then they're just the external threads are put on a spigot, and the internal threads are put in a boss. And they've been on the shelf now for 4 or 5 years, and they haven't moved. they work really, really well. And it gives you a big enough opening. These are 275 cubic inch urns. A friend of mine asked for one a while back, so we ended up getting this one here put together. And I said, well, your urn's ready. And he says, well, that's great, but I'm not.
Ah, you got it.
So I've still got it on my shelf, and he knows it's there, and he thinks it's big enough for both him and his wife. So there's a pair of them if they need them both, or if they want to both go in one, then we're covered.
Those look like end grained also, right?
That's right. Yeah, these are end grained urns, but in order to make sure that the threads didn't move, the thread insert was done with a threading jig. So I make a bunch of these as well, where we make the threaded inserts, and then people can make a tenon and a bore and mount them. So it gives them a big hole to put the bag in. A lot of times people had one person that I made one for did not want plastic or metal or anything. They said they wanted the ashes in the wood. So when the wood rotted, all the ashes would go back into the earth to earth, dust to dust, and that kind of thing. So that was kind of interesting. They didn't want plastic in there because they wanted it to, when it's in the ground and the wood disintegrates, they just wanted the ashes to flow into the ground like 1,000 years ago. So it's kind of interesting.
What's the diameter of the opening in yours?
I don't have a tape measure on here right now, but I guess it's probably 3.5 inches. Well, there's my index finger, so it's probably 3.5 inches long or wide.
Good, thank you.
So I'm back in the gallery view, and just by an easy show of hands, how many of you guys have made your own urns? There you go. I think that's pretty interesting. Maybe we'll have a show and tell of funeral urns sometime. But right now,
Wood shop. Thank God for wood.